everybody? Got your boy Chris here, and it's Cooking with Chris. Well, fam, I know I ain't been posting a lot of videos here lately with recipes and stuff like I want to, but let me explain why. I thank each and every one of you guys who've liked, subscribed, who share, who constantly watch the videos every time I upload them. And again, I know I ain't been uploading them, so let me explain why. So when I started this whole thing, I started it as a Facebook cooking channel called Cooking with Chris. Then I moved it over to YouTube, so I post in both places. So since then, the whole basis behind me doing this was because where I live at, in the part of rural Tennessee where I live at, there's no Puerto Rican food, there's no Puerto Rican cooking, there's none of that. So I wanted to bring that to the community. And not only that, because I love to cook. So what ended up happening was that I'm doing my recipes, I'm posting them on here, and then it was just later on my heart to start doing pop-up events, you know, getting out in the community where I live at so people can actually taste my food, not just watch videos and subscribe to my page. So moving forward with that, I've been doing a lot of pop-up events. I've had the privilege of going to schools now and sharing the Puerto Rican culture with people, not just the food, but the culture as well, explaining things to them, how things work and how things go. So it's been nothing but a blessing for me to have been able to do this. And that's why I haven't been posting. And also, you know, this thing has evolved into even more. Now I'm doing, you know, like I said, pop-up events, getting invited to pop-up events. I got 2 events coming up, and I'm beyond blessed because of that. And I'm blessed because of the small group of people that I have following me that have liked the page, who have been with me since day one. And I thank you. And I'm sorry that, you know, I have been posting a lot of, you know, cooking videos on here. But this is what's transpired. This is what I wanted to transpire, to introduce a community of people that have never experienced the Puerto Rican culture to the Puerto Rican culture. And then, not to try to be boastful or anything, I was just featured in a magazine for my cooking, and how my cooking is building those bridges between, you know, culture through cooking. And so I'm super proud of that, and I'm not trying to boast on myself, but, you know, this intro, this video was just to explain why I have not been, you know, posting any videos. But today we are cooking something in the kitchen. So if you've been here, you already know, fam, grab a chair, pull it up to the counter, and we're gonna cook. And if you're new here and this came across your For You page or anything, grab a chair. You're part of the family now. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and sit back, and we're gonna get into this recipe. But first, we gotta get up out of these right here and into something cookware appropriate. All right, fam, now that we into something comfortable here, let's go ahead and jump into this recipe. All right, fam, so here we are. This is all the ingredients you're gonna need. Now, this recipe is super versatile. You don't have to do it my way. You can put things in it, take things out, add things, whatever you wanna do. So, but anyway, what we wanna do here with this is pan sopao. Usually I make my own. But anyway, I found it, so I got it. So I let it sit out, you know, a few days to let it get a little hard. And the reason being is because what it's going to do is going to soak up the liquids that we're going to put into our recipe here. So with that, what we're going to need is 3 cans of evaporated milk, 1 can of coconut milk, 1 stick of unsalted butter. You could put it in the microwave or on the stove. You're going to need a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. You're going to need 1.5 cups of sugar. You're going to need some raisins, and that's about 2 of these boxes, which is about 1/2 cup. Now, you can put raisins. You don't have to, whatever you want to do. You're going to need some cinnamon sticks, some clove, and some star anise. So star anise is going to give you that licorice flavor, and the cloves are more on the spicy, and then you're going to get that cinnamon flavor, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. And then also you're going to have 1/4 cup of vanilla. You're going to need 4 eggs for this as well, 1 can of condensed milk. And you're going to need a big old pot to put everything in, so when we start peeling this bread, you can get it all in there and we can start mixing everything together. And then I'm going to show you with this 1.5 cups of sugar, we're going to make a caramel sauce to go into our pan. So when we bake it and when we flip it over, when it's done, that caramel will come down and drape over top of it. So let's get to getting this recipe put together. Okay, so here we are. We have our spice mixture with some water in there, And what we're going to do, we're going to let that be on about a medium heat, medium to low, and let that come to a boil. Then let it cool down, and then we'll strain it off. And then what we're going to do, we have our sugar here. We're going to put that on about a medium high. And what we're going to do, we're going to let that break down, and we're going to let it caramelize. And then we're going to put that caramel into a pan to coat the bottom of it. All right. Remember earlier that we had our mixture that we're going to put into our raisins for later, which is the cinnamon stuff. Then we put our sugar on. So our sugar here, it's been on and it's starting to melt down and do its thing, and that's what we want. But you always, the other thing is, you always want to make sure that you don't burn your sugar, and you can tell if you're burning it because you can smell it. So you want this nice little caramel color. We're just going to let this cook down some more just to finish cooking off the rest of the sugar that needs to come down. So we need to, make it a lot smoother consistency. And then what we're going to do, we have a pan here, which is an 8-inch pan, and I'm going to put it inside of there. All right, so now we got our sugar down. And now be very careful with this because it will burn you. And if you ever got burnt by sugar before, you know what I'm talking about. So, and you got to work with this quick because it'll start getting hard on you really quick. Work really quickly with this. And you want to get, again, be very careful because it's super hot. So you don't want to get burnt. And then all you want to do is pretty much work it around, move it around into this pan. Pretty much move it around into the pan. So that way it can coat all of it. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're just going to take our bread and we're just going to start peeling it apart just like that. Nothing fancy here, nothing, special. Right? All right. So, and the difference in what you're going to see with this bread pudding than Americanized bread pudding is this. American style bread pudding has a lot more chunks in it, whereas Puerto Rican style, it's a lot more mushed down, almost sort of like an oatmeal consistency. Like it'll look like oatmeal. It'll be really fine, and so that's the biggest difference in it. And and also of course your seasonings, the way it's prepared and the way it's done. So like I said, that's what we're doing here. We'll go ahead and get all that stuff. And what we're going to do for a minute afterward here, after we do all this, what we want to do, we want to be able to let this sit for just a little while. So that way all of these liquids can be absorbed into the bread. Now, that's one of the main purposes of why you want to let it sit out, like I said earlier, for a few days. That way, it will absorb all of these liquids. What we're going to do, 1 can coconut milk, use whatever kind you like. Let's put that in there. Then simultaneously, let's just go ahead and put our evaporated milk in there. Again, whatever kind that you like. Now, you can also make a different variation of this where you can do a coconut flavored one, where you would take and add a little bit more coconut flavoring. You would add coconut flavoring versus the vanilla, but traditionally it's a vanilla flavoring. So we have all that. We're just going to keep on with that, and then we're going to put our condensed milk in there as well. All right, so now, like I said, we had all of our other stuff put in there. Had to put our sweetened condensed milk in here. Make sure you get all that goodness in there. Don't worry about it. That's just that butter that I was telling you about. I just opted to go ahead and put it in the microwave. All right, now that we got all that out of there, our next step is to go ahead and put our vanilla in there. Vanilla. Then we have our eggs. Also, remember, I got that salt. So we're just going to put a pinch of salt since we're using the unbuttered, the unsalted butter. Excuse me. Then what we'll do is take our eggs. We'll have 4 eggs and we'll put them in there. So we'll crack our egg. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now, what we're going to do also, before we put the other stuff in there, I want to start incorporating some of this. And like I said earlier, the difference in American style and Puerto Rican style is that this is going to look like a, you know, like almost like an oatmeal consistency. So I want to incorporate this stuff before I incorporate the other stuff, the butter and the raisins and stuff. I want to just get some of this in here. All right, we have all that done. Now I want to show you, here's that mixture we had over to some heat boiling. Now it's, you know, what we want to do, we want to strain it out. And what this is going to do is going to infuse those raisins. And they're going to get nice and plump and everything, and they're going to take on that flavor. Now, you can use just the granulated form, not granulated, the powdered form, like, you know, cinnamon powder. You can use clove and stuff like that. I just chose to do it this way to let it infuse. And what we're going to do, then we'll take that out of there and we'll put the raisins in there. We're going to let it sit in there for just a few minutes. And now, but the other thing we want to do is get our butter mixture. And what we're going to do is put the butter in there and we'll mix it up just a little bit more. And then put those raisins in there. And we'll go from there. We'll get ready to put it into our baking pan. All right, now that they've been sitting in there a little bit, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put all of that in there together. And then we're just going to mix all of this around. And then we'll be ready to pour our mixture into our baking dish. And then from there, also what you want to do is have your oven set to 350, because we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for an hour and a half. Now, again, here's the other thing, because like I said, this is a versatile dish. You can do it how you want to. I know people traditionally grew up doing it a different way. They may know a different way to do it, different spices and different techniques. This is just the way I do it. Again, you know, it's not wrong, but let me wipe this up off my counter and come back and clean it. We don't like no dirty counters. So now we have that. And here is our pan. So what we want to do now is just basically do it just like this. Just pour it in here. You can hear how warm that mixture, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied, everybody. That caramel is, and with the coolness of the mixture, it is causing it to pretty much crackle. Okay, so basically what we're doing now, we're going to take and put it into a pan, and what we want to do is put some water around it, and this is going to help it bake evenly. You might have to, depending how big your measuring cup is or whatever, you might have to, you know, go back to the sink a few times like myself here. But you want it about, you know, midways there, and this will help it bake off evenly. So, and then after that, put it in the oven at 350 degrees for an hour and a half. And, you know, again, everybody's oven's different, so try that. You may have to let it go a little longer, or it may be done a little sooner. All right, fam, it's been an hour and 30 minutes. This is what it looks like. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to let this cool down for a minute before transferring it and moving it onto another plate. So, all right, fam, here's a beautiful rendition of our bread pudding. There, boom. Here we have it. All right, fam, well, here it is right here. I already done took a little bit of a piece out of there. So good. You get those flavors of the cinnamon. You get that caramel. You get the raisins. It is just an overall, just a great little comfort food. It's always good to have those things that remind you of home. And that's what I like to accomplish on here. Not only do I like to share the culture and share the food, but the comfort food that comes along with it. So fam, thank you. The other thing I wanted to mention was that toward the end of this video here, I'm gonna put some pictures of that magazine that I was in with a little bit of that article. And also, I just want to thank you guys again and again for you guys coming back, watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and, you know, just being part of the Cooking with Chris family. So again, fam, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot. And until next time, hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. Peace.